injustice, the more likely we are to repeat the cycle once grown. There is a spectrum for victimhood. At one end is the disassociation from anger, where we believe we are worthless. At the other end is the need to control others, fueled by rage and contempt. Both are drowning in the same internal pain. How can we hope to free ourselves? 1. We must reconnect with our bodies. Anger is often somatized in our muscles. Most people on this planet move through life with a persistent sense of being victimized. In the Jungian sense, this is the unconscious shadow, the unowned part of our personalities, projected onto our surroundings, only to be reflected back to us. We see this in groups who use victim status to justify atrocities. We see it in our bosses, our neighbors, bureaucrats, and even our families. It creates a closed loop where pain is used as a currency to buy the right to hate. But if we look into the soul, we find a deeper mechanism. It was a shock to me to discover that even after years of work, after learning to forgive and let go, a sense of victimhood still sat deep in my psyche. Do you hate someone with a passion? Do you experience being hard done by? Are you satisfied with your rage? Being a victim can be its own reward. It provides a justification for the negative emotions that allow you to sense your aliveness. Because otherwise, all you would experience would be the emotional barrenness from a heart that has remained closed. Not long ago, I asked Charlie, my soul companion, about the progress of my health. Is there anything else I can do to help myself? He replied that there was still a small fly in the ointment, clouding my perception, that I had to go back even further back in time than any of the incarnations I had already experienced. So I went back 15,000 years, only to discover that while reasonably integrated, I succumbed to the hands of a black magician who victimized me to the point of eventual suicide. It was at the point of her death, as I held her in my embrace, empathizing and loving her, that I uttered the words that were to be instrumental in catapulting me towards the next and final stage of my lessons on this earth. I said, "It's not your fault. You were a victim." The words were shocking to my ears because Charlie had sent me to this incarnation to explore and free my scattered across time soul fragments from the sense of being a victim. I queried Charlie in my confusion, and he shared that this had been an important prelude to appreciating the cause. There is one more incarnation, he said, even further back in time. It turns out that in my first incarnation on this planet, 20,000 years ago, as I was learning to navigate the human body system, I happened to become a member of the priestly class with developed psychic gifts and a honed laser-like mental focus. I succumbed to the power of manipulation, coercion, and the domination of lesser wills for my own sexual gratifications as well as an indolent lifestyle. To the very end of that long life, I was remorseless and unconcerned for the lives of those I willed and enslaved into my service. It is fair to say I died heartless and devoid of pity for the suffering of others. My other 7 lives have been a redressing of the balance. Abuse and victimization followed me through each succeeding lifetime as I experienced all the degradations of being a victim. Most of us experience this redressing at the hands of parents, bullies, or corporate systems. For others, it is inserted as a belief system through which to experience and judge the world. The more we experience childhood injustice, the more likely we are to repeat the cycle once grown. There is a spectrum for victimhood. At one end is the disassociation from anger, where we believe we are worthless. At the other end is the need to control others, fueled by rage and contempt. Both are drowning in the same internal pain. How can we hope to free ourselves? 1. We must reconnect with our bodies. Anger is often somatized in our muscles. It needs to be expressed physically, preferably on an inanimate object, while we focus on the original injustice. It is difficult to connect with anger, for we justify its suppression via a fear of our rage, i.e., we frighten ourselves in our imagination that we might kill or severely damage another. We need to learn that anger is a healthy response to define our boundaries, whereas rage is uncontrolled lashing out of our pain. 2. We must enter into a dialogue with the subject we have been wronged by. Write it out. Aim to see the experience from the other's point of view. 3. Realize that true forgiveness is not possible while we still harbor a grudge. 4. Self-worth goes hand in hand with forgiveness, anger, and defining our boundaries. Forgiveness is not condoning unacceptable behavior. It is about appreciating that the other is or was damaged and letting them go, because we are all tainted by the mere fact of being born into a very damaged society. That shitty parent, they may have been twisted, but deep beneath there will be love. We want to connect with that love. There is goodness within each of us, as well as much confusion. And 5, understand that a masochist needs a sadist, and vice versa. We are more than egos. There is a soul in each human being, doing its best within the limits of its experience. Souls agree to help each other prior to incarnation. The aim is experience and redressing the imbalance we generated as we learn to navigate the human world. The cycle ends when the lessons are integrated. The reward, an increasingly integrated soul within ego and an open heart as the communicating vehicle between. It is difficult for most of us to separate psychotherapy from soul engagement, because we're so matter of fact about our lives that we don't see the connection by and large.
When I did the 2 meditations a few months back, I was so taken by my experience that I felt the need to turn it into a video straight away. Of course, I had a couple of teeth missing, so I couldn't speak properly. It was all coming up like a sort of lisping. And it's been hanging there in the background. And I'm ready to put it out there. I realize it's not perfect. But it highlighted a very, very important lesson, because most of us are victims. Like it or not, most of us see ourselves as victim in relation to a number of people in the world. We just do. And we're not aware of that. All we're aware of is our rage when we can't cope with being a victim anymore. Push, 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 push. Eventually we go, rah! But we never go, rah, to the person who's been pushing us. Well, no, I would say never, but often, like, if the person who's pushing us has got more authority than we have, like, say, at work, then we're not going to say anything to them. But then we'll go home, and the child or the partner or a friend with whom we feel on an equal level, they will push us unintentionally, and now we're going to go straight to them. And clearly that is not acceptable, but that is what we do, because we don't know how to connect with our anger. And so the basis of this little video was to highlight that 5 stage of how to reconnect with our anger, because anger is actually very empowering. It defines our boundaries as human beings, and our society teaches us to suppress our anger. It's part of the course. They don't want people to be upfront defining their boundaries of what is and is not acceptable. We all need to conform. And so to reconnect with our anger, anger is quite cold and calculating, quite clear, quite solid. We're present, we're here. And that is quite different from rage. And in rage, we're not thinking properly. In anger, we're very clear-headed. We're focused, we're present. And we're saying, no, I'm not putting up with this. Don't speak to me like that. Don't behave like that. I won't accept it. But we say it with such finality that people listen, they take notice. So, how about you? Do you recognize those 5 stages? Are you stuck in the rage? Can you reconnect with your anger? Do you struggle with forgiveness? Share your comments. Let everybody else know how you are affected by being a human being in this day and age. All the best for now. Bye.